United Fight Alliance, for the fighter in you.
A lot of us get into health and fitness due to a personal challenge with our own health. And today's guest is no different. He has a great story of health recovery. Dr. Francisco Torres performed his residency in physical medicine and rehabilitation at the Veterans Administration Hospital in San Juan before completing a musculoskeletal fellowship at LSU University Medical Center in New Orleans. That's Louisiana State University in New Orleans. As a trained age management physician, he works with patients on preventing age-related disease in order to optimize health and longevity. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Francisco Torres. Doctor, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. And you're not just preaching health today, you're actually practicing it. What a concept. What led you into the gym?
Well, it's a very interesting story. And if you had the time, when I was young, as a matter of fact, in school, I was bullied because I was overweight. And I remember the pain going through that. And even though during my life I accomplished a lot of different things, I always had that internally about the way I look. I was ashamed of taking my shirt off when I used to go to the pool. And, it's just you get used to that, and then you pretend that doesn't matter until one day about 6 years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night with an excruciating chest pain like you normally see on the commercial with that elephant on top of you. So I went to the emergency room, and when I went there, I was a little bit scared. It's the first time I'm a patient, and the ER doctor came to me and said, "Okay, buddy, you had a heart attack." And when he said that, I said, well, wait, I need a second opinion. So I called my friend at 2 o'clock in the morning. He's a cardiologist. He came in, he evaluated EKG and said, yeah, you have some changes, but I don't know if it's really a heart attack, but because you have the chest pain with a left arm pain, you have to go for the cath. So short story, making the story short, $16,000 later after the cath, I was told that I was overweight, I was deconditioned, I was stressed out, but my heart was perfectly normal. So that was my awakening. When I had a second chance, I said, I need to take care of my life now, because if not, it's going to be too late and I'm going to be one of my patients. So I've been looking into anti-aging and hormone replacement and supplement for many years, but I never made the decision to follow through. And it was interesting at that moment I decided to take over my life, and that's when I decided to go the path of age management.
So what were some of the first protocols that you engaged in, and what were some of the activities that you stopped doing?
Well, the bottom line, I was completely deconditioned, no exercise whatsoever. So I decided to do it the right way, medically supervised. So I signed up with a company, a very big company called Transactional. I became, I went there to get trained, but at the same time I had to be a patient for them. So once I started the protocol about the right nutrition, the right exercise, and then start checking on my hormone replacement and my supplementation, that's when I started the path. And 3 months after I started the program, I got my first six-pack in my life, which was amazing.
A six-pack, and if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 53 years old now.
Oh, you're exactly my age. We're the same exact age. Yeah, I'm 53 as well. But I haven't seen a six-pack in a long time.
Yeah.
Actually, it's starting to come in now.
Jay, I've always thought all my life that it was genetically, that I was never going to be able to do that. And once I realized that I could do it, anyone can do it. If you do the right thing, anyone can get a six-pack.
Wow, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I wasn't going to ask this, but this is a perfect segue. Let's drill down on this a little bit, because this is a real hot topic right now. For guys like you and I, and we're part of the baby boom generation, we don't want to get old. We don't want to die. We want to try to at least slow down the aging process. I've heard a lot of good things about the bioidentical hormones, and from some of my other people I've heard, you want to take it very cautiously, because it can also, because it's a growth hormone, it can also feed some of the wackier cells that you don't necessarily want to be feeding. How do you come down on that side of things?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the main thing. Problem is that people, when you talk about hormone replacement, they immediately think about growth hormone. There's so many other things that we do that brings that growth hormone up with no other type of supplementation. So mainly what you need to be sure you're medically evaluated. You check your baseline values, and from there you make determination if you really need growth hormone or what you just need is the testosterone, the HCG, that will bring your growth hormone naturally. Because beside the concern of having cancer or tumors grow because of growth hormone, the only other concern is that if you start supplementing externally the growth hormone, that you're going to shut down your own production.
Yes, that would be my follow-up. Yeah.
Exactly, and you're creating a problem there. So I prefer to do pro hormones, things that stimulate your own production, versus using the real growth hormone chemical.
So there's actually protocols you can do naturally that encourage your own facilities, your own organs to make more growth. I like that. That seems more organic, and it seems like it's not synthetic, and it's not going to cause trouble because it's part of your own body anyway.
Exactly. The only thing I can tell you, Jay, is for men particularly, the testosterone is definitely a must. I have seen so many clients, patients, including myself, when I check my levels, we're on the low end. And there's a lot of controversy, what is normal? And when you see the values in the laboratory results, it goes from 300 to all the way to 1,200 units. So, then you have to analyze the patient needs in order to decide, do we put this patient all the way to 800? Or we keep them in 600. So that's why the medical supervision is critical. And then problem is that a lot of people who are doing like anabolic steroid, all the bodybuilders, they start doing this on their own with no supervision, and they go supraphysiological, and that's not what we're trying to do when we do it medically supervised.
Well, it sounds to me like you can actually customize and a little of this, a little of that, based on the blood panels. And being very cautious not to go too high in any one category, because isn't the whole thing about balance anyway?
Absolutely. You want to do the physiological correction of these hormones, and then you base your determination not only on the value, also the patient's symptoms. If the patient's feeling that it's tired, fatigue, abdominal fat, their sex drive is down, they don't sleep well, mentally they're not that sharp, then you know that you have a clinical deficiency. So then you correlate that with the value, and then that helps you to decide how high you're going to bring this patient on their hormone levels.
I see. And also, you had mentioned a little bit earlier Cenegenics, and I have you here as the, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I have you as the owner and director of Cenegenics Age Management in Clearwater. Is that correct?
No, I was affiliated with them for a couple of years.
Oh, I gotcha.
And then I decided to separate and do it on my own. I'm the owner and the medical director of Forever Young.md.
Ah, okay, gotcha. Forever Young.
But I was trained by Cenegenics, and I worked with them for 2 years. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, that's good to know. And one of the things that that really excites me about all of this work is that it's becoming more organic, and it's becoming more of a working with the body. I think more and more doctors are getting it, that it's not just about taking a synthetic drug and taking some kind of magic pill, some sort of pharmaceutical magic pill that's going to fix you. That you have to be a partner with your doctor. And
absolutely.
If your doctor's not willing to partner with you and say, I'm going to spend more time with you, and I'm going to find out about you personally, about your personal blood panels, about you psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, all the different elements that come into health. Is that what Forever Young engages in?
Yes, absolutely. Because the advantage I think that I have is I'm a customer, I'm a client.
Yeah.
I've gone through all this journey with trials and errors, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and I continue to learn as I go. And there's a lot of things that you learn from just your life experience. So, like for example, I'm now in, like we were talking before, I'm in the spiritual side, and I think that when I talk to my patient about nutrition, weight loss, we start talking about the meaning of eating and then mindful eating and all these things associated with the spirit and the mind, that when you incorporate that to a wellness program, then you're more successful, and then it becomes a lifestyle change. So that's why you have to work one-on-one with your clients in that respect, and offer them as much as you can, advice from trainers, advice from chefs, advice from nutritionists, and now on the spiritual side, meditation for me is big. So we need to incorporate all that, and then you feel unstoppable when you follow all those recommendations.
when you were out of shape, and there's a great before and after picture on Forever Young that I encourage everybody to go check out, because you had letting yourself go, and myself as well. My before and after is pretty incriminating as well.
That's right.
We had let ourselves go, but your before and after is striking. For the folks at home, who are having challenges with perhaps maybe the discipline or motivation, can you tell us sort of like what the difference has been like for you now that you're in such fantastic shape? What is it like on a day-to-day basis in every one of those categories? What's it like for you spiritually, mentally, physically? The differences before and after.
Yeah, one thing, I'll answer the question, but let me going back to the before picture. I was the first one to criticize all this commercial about before, and you see the guy pushing his belly out, and the lights are down, and then they shave, and there's no hair on the after. But when people question me, do you know, Jay, how many before pictures I took throughout my life? Because I said one day I'm going to have an after picture, and I failed dismally. So it's not only that before picture, I have at least 1,000 before pictures that I never followed through. So it was just the last 6 years that I committed, and I found the answer. So that's absolutely, interesting story, because that's the way I fight people telling me, oh, that's a Photoshop. I said, no, I'll give you 1,000 pictures if you want to see them before. So the bottom line is, after I went through the program, I did my transformation, my life changed completely, both with abundance, affluence, relationships, business-wise. I attract more people because they see my energy, my enthusiasm. My mind is focused on everything I do. And then now that I'm doing the meditation side and the spiritual growth, and that is creating even more energy. Now, one of the things I just finished last week, I finished third on one of the Mr. Physique shows, which I've never thought in my life I was going to expose myself in front of people. That's for me amazing. But one of the things I learned this last weekend, I didn't do it for me. It was not my ego. I did it to be an example so my patient, my friends, my family could see in me. And this one is a little bit emotional for me. This is the first time my youngest son came to the show. And when he saw me on stage, he came with this look and said, "Dad, I'm impressed. You are amazing." Because before he only saw the pictures, and then it said pictures you can Photoshop, and I was there in front of 1,000 people. And so for me, when I saw his expression, I said, you know what, this is what I do, this to motivate people, to disturb people.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful, Francisco. And I know what you're talking about. I try to explain to people, the changes in me, and I was just talking with a friend this morning, and I said, all that I care about now, and I can't explain why, but all I care about now is helping other people, because I get so much from it. It's like this podcast means everything in the world to me, because I spent the last 15 or 20 years learning from others, and them, doing all the hard work and the study and getting the word out there, and being made fun of by the traditional allopathic community, and being, all of the people who came before us and now have been proven right about nutrition and vitamins and health. And now I just want to get that information out to other people, because it changed my life so profoundly. So I know exactly what you mean, especially when you start talking about your children, because you want to be such an example for them. And so what really I think is so important, if we get nothing out of this show today, is that I know for me, literally, man, if I can do it, literally anybody can do it. And I think you feel the same way. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's like I was out of it, man. I was in such bad shape, and now and it's not like people say, well, what's wrong with these guys? They have too much energy. They're too happy. Well, what do you mean too happy?
Exactly.
Is there such a thing as too happy?
It can
It's
never
amazing
be.
how good you can feel. It is amazing.
Absolutely.
You know that old adage, it feels good to feel good?
And you know what? One other thing I tell my patient, once you discover this state, you never, ever, ever want to go back. So that's why this is not a quick fix. This is just transform your life, and you don't ever, ever want to go back. And once you feel this way, then that's the meaning of happiness.
Now you're a traditional MD, and that is one of the degrees that is sort of tends to be a little more, conservative, and certainly allopathic, obviously. Exactly. And I can say that I actually had to go over to an osteopath and over to an MD, because when I was going to MDs, it's pretty funny. I would go in and be paying them $200, $250, and it would end up being an educational session. But it wasn't them educating me. It was me teaching them about probiotics. It was me teaching them about omega-3s. It was me teaching them about detox. It was me, and these guys were huge. They had pot bellies hanging out over their bellies,
Absolutely.
and they were good-natured, and they were well-meaning, great guys. And if I get in a car accident and my rib is sticking out of my chest, I want that fat MD. I want him. I don't want someone telling me about vitamins. So, so they have a place, but we can teach them too, and they need to. There seems to be a disconnect with a lot of traditional doctors where, you know, it's that kind of mumbo jumbo herbs and vitamin stuff.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's healthy, because you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's a lot to be said for the complementary and holistic side of things.
I think it's the way we got, you know, at least, you know, I know that traditional medicine, like I was trained, they teach you to treat the disease. They don't really spend any time on prevention. And there's so many conditions right now, like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, that can be preventable. And we know that it's associated with overweight for lack of exercise. You know, it's preventable. And as a matter of fact, I know that you lost your father, you know, last Friday, and I lost mine in October. And it was a sad situation. 88 years old, retired psychiatrist, well knowledge, completely clear with his mind, still producing. However, he never took care of himself, overweight, never exercised. He could care less about that. Unfortunately, diabetes took over. You know, he didn't exercise. He fell, broke his hip, and that was it. And a guy who could have continued to contribute, you know, to this world died prematurely because he never took care of his physical health. And that's a typical doctor, you know, psychiatrist, well-educated. He didn't see the value, but he will take the medication for diabetes, the medication for, you know, cholesterol, but never thought about fish oil or other supplements that may have helped even better.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing here, and you know, I'll call it what it is. You don't have to say anything about this if you're uncomfortable with it. But the unfortunate thing is, big pharma, they have the big money and they write the rules. And I mean, they're writing the rule books as soon as these guys are hitting university. And you know, we're encouraged to try to take a pill to mask the symptoms, instead of looking to what the true cause is. And, you know, that's really unfortunate. And, you know, it's almost like they want you around for 30 or 40 years, but just enough to keep buying the medication. It's never about how do we fix it. It's always about, you watch these big pharma ads on TV, and it's always, they never say how to fix it. It's always how to mask the symptom.
Absolutely. And when they get the FDA approval, is to treat a condition, like, for example, diabetes or any other ailment that we know for a fact that the metabolic syndrome, which is obesity with high triglyceride, low you know, the cholesterol high too, it's related to obesity, to bad nutrition. And instead of going and approaching that problem that first, they go for the quick fix again, just because they're incentivized to sell drugs. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Well, what would you say for the people out there, and we'll sort of, this will wrap up the prevention side of things. We'll talk about some of the other fun projects that you have going. But on the prevention side, for someone out there who is listening to us, who, you know, might be having some challenges with their health, maybe they're overweight or they have diabetes issues, but they're also kind of lacking in motivation. They've tried it before many times and they've failed. And one of the things I'll say real quickly about that is, you are addicted. I am addicted. I bet you Dr. Torres will admit he's addicted. We're addicted to food substances because big food puts stuff in there. They know how to manipulate oil, fat, salt, and sugar. I'm not talking about bad oil, not good oil. Bad oil, bad sugar, you know, bad fats to keep you addicted. You cannot stop eating Pringles, and there's a reason you can't stop eating Pringles. It is engineered. It's food stuff. It's not food. What would you say to the folks out there? Because you and I both had to get off that couch. What would you say to them? What would be some of their first steps?
You know, every time I interview a patient that wants to lose weight or wants to be the problem, I ask them very seriously, and I want an honest response from them. It's what is your why? Why you want to do this? If you don't have a strong why, you're not going to be successful. You just have to have, like I did when I had the heart attack or the scare. I had a strong why. I have my kids. I want to be sure I was there for them because they were very physically active. So that strong why is going to make you successful, and then you look for the resources. You become resourceful. Now, if you don't have, and that's what I see my patients, and they come and say, yeah, I want to lose weight because my wife wants me to lose weight, or because I have a high school reunion. It's so weak that I think these people are not going to be successful from the get-go. So I ask them for a very strong why. Now, after we get the strong why, then we have to go through what you mentioned, Jay, that we have food addiction. It's like an antidepressant. So we have to start analyzing what they're eating, put them on an induction phase for the first 2 weeks. There's detoxification, like you just mentioned, and they have to go through some process that they need to mentally start associating bad things to bad food. And then they start educating themselves. Instead of going for a pretzel, like you said, let's go for raw almonds or something that is healthier, and it will make you full as well. And then check on your ratio of protein, carbs, and fat, and all. That's where the education process begins at that level, at that point.
We are talking with Dr. Francisco Torres of the Forever Young Institute. If you want to get in touch with Dr. Francisco, and we're going to keep going here, but because now we're wrapping up the prevention side of things. If they want to get in touch with you and find out more about Forever Young, where would they go, Doctor?
You can go to my website, foreveryoung.md, and the phone number there will be 727-432-7188.
Great, and he's the real deal. I can personally vouch for Dr. Torres. When you go to the before and afters, you're going to see that he practices what he preaches. It's so much more powerful and effective to see you actually doing it. It's very hard for me to respect, on some levels, doctors who are really out of shape and they're telling me to get in shape. I respect them as human beings, and I respect their education and how hard they work to become an MD. It is nasty, as you know. It is brutal to become an MD, and I got nothing but respect for that workflow. But if they're going to be telling me about heart disease and about prevention and about anti-aging, and they have a 44-inch waist, it's just not going to have the same impact as a guy with a six-pack.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, Jay, it's amazing that I don't have to even open my mouth. I disturb people by just either seeing my pictures or seeing me physically. So I think that is a good incentive to kind of put yourself on display, and then you don't need too many words. They follow what you tell them to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. Like, you were doing these bodybuilding contests or fitness contests, not as an ego thing, but as a bravery thing, to show your kids, look, I'm showing 1,000 people myself without a shirt on, and not because I think I'm all that, but because, look, I did it, and you're trying to inspire people, and that is so much more powerful.
Oh, I'm telling you, I feel so good, and it's like a snowball effect. I feel great. I get more connection, more good things happen to me. I'm just excited about it. I want to have everybody. It doesn't have to do it with me. Sometimes it's just, you get educated. You can just get all the resources that you need, but be sure that you're committed to change. Once decision means that you're cutting off with any other possibilities. You just have to be committed and do it.
Yeah, and you know what you're saying about how it just keeps getting better? It's funny, like, I am experiencing that too. Like, good attracts good. Success attracts success. Happiness attracts happiness. And it keeps, like, folding on itself. It keeps, like, exponentially increasing. It's not even like an addition. It's not even like 2 + 2 or, 3 + 3 = 6. It's more like 3 × 3 = 9. You're getting some kind of synergistic effect where the people in your solar system, if you will, in your stratosphere, the level of their accomplishments start increasing. You're hanging out with happier people, more successful people. If you could just get that beachhead and get that start and get a hold and start feeling good and start feeling some difference, like you said earlier, Doctor, you'll never want to go back.
Never. No, that's absolutely right. And the thing is that what it takes, it's just a little bit of that determination and say, I am going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. When you say that, you'll find the resources. You'll find how to do it. Just have to be sure that you're committed, and that's it. And like I said, going back to my childhood, I'm telling you, I'm going back to what Eckhart Tolle says about the pain body. I was always wonder why people get involved in accidents 2 or 3 times. And when I read Eckhart Tolle, books, and it said the pain body is because you have that negativity inside of you, that bad karma, and that attracts, there's situation where somebody will hit you even without even knowing you, just because you create that negativity. And then once you change, then it becomes the opposite. People want to kiss you, hug you, they want to love you.
It's astounding. I mean, this is a subject that is so profound, and I've read all of Eckhart Tolle's works as well, Power of Now and New Earth, and this guy is amazing. He is an amazing dude. Power of Now, I cannot recommend that more highly. And yeah, right, the power of attraction is another thing we're talking about here. Let's make a little bit of a transition here, because I want to take advantage of having you. You also specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of patients with spine-related pain and pain syndromes and osteoarthritis of multiple joints. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how people can take better care of all of these joints?
Of course, yeah. We have a clinic here in Clearwater, Florida, called the Florida Spine Institute, and it's 100% dedicated to the treatment of spinal disorders and joint problems. So I've been working here for more than 21 years, and we see everything. Anything related to the spine, herniated disc, broken bones in the spine, pinched nerve. So what we normally, when we see, because we are classified as a tertiary facility, we see patients after they have gone through the primary care doctor, the chiropractor, therapy, and they're not getting any better. So what we do here, again, like anything, and we're proud of saying this, we diagnose the problem. People come to say, I have a sciatic nerve pain, but maybe it's not a sciatic nerve, maybe it's something else. So once you have the right diagnosis, then you start talking about treatments. And unfortunately, a lot of the patients that we see here come for acutely or chronic pain, but they don't come too often for prevention. And those are the things that we're trying to change a little in mentality. Once we take care of the acute problem, like a herniated disc, we start educating them in the rehabilitation, in the physical therapy, home exercises, meditation, yoga, and things like they can use at home in order to prevent reoccurrences of the same problem.
Yeah, so you're the wave of the future. You're the future of medicine, what you're doing, because it's a holistic approach. You're implementing multiple modalities. When drugs are indicated, no problem there, but you're trying to get the long-term goal is to get them off the drugs and to get them more on natural substances that the body recognizes and doesn't create inflammation in the body like synthetic pharma, and that is trying to address the original problem. Like, for example, when I increased more omega-3 oils in my diet, and I got the breads out and I got the processed flour out and took out certain grains, certainly processed grains, I noticed the pain in my knees and elbows and shoulders went away instantly.
Correct.
And like, okay, that's just an easy fix. Just buy different stuff in the grocery store. Not expensive. It's not a big fancy protocol. And see, you're an honest doctor. You're taking away the immediate pain, but you're educating the people on how to treat the symptoms.
Correct, and that is so critical. And right now, I started maybe about 6 months ago in the clinic here, which we do a lot of the pain management as well, to start doing the wellness. So patients that are coming through the program, they're noticing that by losing their weight, by eating better, their pain medication is significantly reduced, and they have a better quality of life. So that's what we're trying to do now, to incorporate the wellness with their pain management as well.
Yeah, and I misspoke. I meant to say you're treating the cause and not just the symptoms. And there's nothing wrong with treating the symptoms. Yeah. If I have a lot of pain and nothing's working, I am going to ask you to go a little heavy duty. I'm going to say I need a little bit. Give me go a little bit more towards that if I have to. I don't want to experience pain any more than anyone else does.
Correct.
But I am also going to ask you, what do I need to do differently so that this doesn't keep happening? I'm not just going to say, okay, I'm going to just take this magic pill for 10 years. How do I fix it?
Exactly, and that's the beauty of, I'm fortunate that we have a very comprehensive approach here. We have access to almost everything, and give me the opportunity to educate the patient once we solve the acute problem, to let them go back to the relatively normal life. Yes, we do have limitation. After 35 years of age, we're all going to have some degenerative changes in the back. However, we can prevent those degenerative changes from causing limitation, and that's the whole purpose of the program.
You were also the principal investigator studying the use of botulinum toxin type A as a treatment for chronic lower back pain. I probably butchered the name of it, but can you tell us a little bit about that study?
Well, it's Botox, really, what we did.
Oh, okay.
Botox. Everybody knows Botox. The thing is that but that was a while ago. There was a big study that I was part of it, that we included all the patients with chronic back pain that could not be treated with any of the regular modalities. So we put out I thought it was like 1,000 patients with a specific protocol with Botox, and we did find that it was very effective with the chronic back muscle pain. However, it didn't meet the FDA criteria of significance, and it was never FDA approved for that. But later on, it was approved for neck pain, for dystonia, and now for migraine headaches.
I gotcha. Well, we're starting to run out of time here, but there's one I wanted to get to. It's kind of it's sort of out in left field, but I just started studying up on this. I'm a little curious about it. Are you familiar with some of the work people are doing with like sleep caves, like creating like pitch blackness and getting all electrical stuff out of the room as a way of helping with pain and helping with energy and going into a deeper REM state?
You know what? I'm not familiar with that one in particular.
Yeah, it's a specialized area, and it's kind of, I don't know if it's new, but it's the latest thing. It's very very interesting to me. I'll just give you the quick little thumbnail on it. Get out those little green dots that are on your clock or on your alarm system, whatever's in your bedroom.
Yes.
Get all the electric, get all the Wi-Fi out of the room, because
okay.
It's keeping you from getting into a deeper state of sleep. It's also very important for your hormones.
Well, that makes sense. Like I said, for a while I was also involved with magnets, and I know that there's no scientific data behind that, but I found that magnets too were very, very beneficial too, especially when you sleep on a mattress with a magnet or you sit on a cushion.
Yeah, and like in terms of the sleep, and I'm sure the magnets as well, and just getting that deeper sleep, apparently more of the good hormones are released and less of the bad ones when you go into a deeper REM. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that it's really detrimental hormone is a cortisol level, which is the stress hormone, and anything that you can do to lower that cortisol level will improve your quality of sleep and also release the good hormones in a good level.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are just running out of time. It goes fast, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I had a good time. It was great.
Well, the name of your company, Dr. Torres, is Forever Young. Do you think we can stay forever young?
To be honest with you, I think there are three components to aging: is the psychological, the physiological, and the chronological. I really don't care about the chronological age, and unfortunately, and I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but here I'm bombarded, everybody asking me, "How old are you? How old are you?" And I really try to avoid even thinking about it. For me, it's the physiological. I am physiologically 25 years old, and proven by all my tests. I'm 25. Physiological, and then mentally, more or less 25, 30. So for me, that matters, because that's what's going to prevent disease. The chronological, nothing you can do with that. But if you continue to focus on that, I think then you behave like a 53. Then you behave like a 60. I'm supposed to have osteoporosis. I'm not supposed to be a fitness show if I'm this old. So I think, like I said, I just concentrate more on the physiological and the mental age.
What a great attitude! What a great way to go through life. And I was going to say, I think of myself mentally and emotionally as like a 27-year-old too. But then I was thinking my wife might beg to differ with that. She sometimes thinks that I'm more like emotionally and mentally a 7-year-old. But that's a whole different story.
Nothing wrong with that. But you know what you need to pay attention to is the physiological. And there's a way of measuring that.
Yeah.
So if you have the test done and you are physiologically 25, 30. There's no argument. You already have a test to show that your physiological age.
And that's amazing if you think about it. That you could chronologically be 53, but physiologically be 25. That's an exciting thing to shoot for.
Oh, absolutely, because I held my muscles, my bones, my internal organ. So I really think that's why, for me, it's so critical to measure your VO2 max, your metabolic testing, your DEXA scan. Your neurocognitive function. You have to have a baseline to know if you need this or that type of supplement or this type of exercise or nutrition.
He is Dr. Francisco Torres. He is the owner of the Forever Young Institute in Clearwater, Florida. One more time, Doctor, if people want to get in touch with you and if nothing else, congratulate you on you saving your own life, how would they do that?
Thank you. Yeah, the name of the website foreveryoung.md, and I have an assistant that works for me all the time, and her name is Stacy, and you can reach her at 727-432-7188.
Well, thank you once again, Doctor. It was a true pleasure, and I look forward to doing some more shows with you in the future.
Thank you so much, Jay. Have a great day.
For our full schedule of fights on the NBC Sports Network, CW and ABC affiliates, visit UnitedFightAlliance.com. United Fight Alliance, for the fighter in you.